We'll do it live.
You think that tennis is about expressing yourself, doing your thing. But you don't know what tennis is.
What is it?
Hey everybody, well welcome to the Lounge, Cinematic Lounge, with my co-host Maria Morrison. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about the movie Challengers, who we just saw at the movie theater, I think 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
So Challengers, as we know, is the film produced and starring Zendaya. Is that how we pronounce her name?
I say Zendaya.
Zendaya?
But
Okay, well, I was not completely into this film when I saw the marketing for it. I knew it was about tennis, but they really pushed the three-way with the all the advertising was showing the three-ways and I'm like, I don't want to see these beautiful young people doing, having a great time. But we saw the movie anyway and absolutely loved it.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So why don't you give the plot of the movie?
The plot?
The plot.
Okay, so
Lay
the
out
plot.
We don't have to give no spoilers, so we won't.
No spoilers.
Yeah, so just, plot.
Okay.
Yeah, spoiler free.
Okay. So there's these 3 tennis players. Female is Zendaya, 2 boys, and they're not pros yet at first.
They're teenagers, actually.
They're
Phenom,
teenagers.
Tennis phenoms,
Yeah,
all 3 of them.
they're all 3 really good.
Being,
And the 2 boys are doubles team as well as playing, singles.
right.
So they meet as teenagers, and it's just really a story about their relationship with each other and their like passion about tennis and who's got how that kind of ebbs and flows between their relationships.
Yeah, it basically starts with them. You're right. It starts at a tournament. It looks like a low-grade tournament. The movie starts. New Jersey,
Yeah.
we don't really
Yeah.
know. New Jersey, Long Island, somewhere it's like a tire, sponsored by
Yeah.
a tire company. And it's not a place that most, elite professionals would go, except if they're on the downside of their career, right? So some people are trying to come up and make it. Some people are coming down and they need a boost, and they go to this tournament. That's where we meet our 2 guys as they're older. One of them has no money, can't even stay at a hotel. The other guy is an elite tennis professional who's married to Zendaya's character. I don't even remember her name. Tashi. And that's Zendaya. Mike Feist is playing Art Donaldson, and Josh O'Connor, who I've never seen before, is a standout in this film.
Is he the dark-haired one?
Josh O'Connor, yeah. I guess he's in The Crown. He's British.
Yes.
He has a British accent.
Yeah.
So, and Mike Feist, of course, was in West Side Story, the Steven Spielberg West Side Story. So I've seen him. So he's playing an elite tennis player who's now married to Zendaya, her character. And she's managing, and we see that, she's managing his career. So the movie's all flashbacks. So we go back and we go to the start of the relationship, which was them meeting her at her tournament. They see she's sponsored by Adidas, I think. So she's on her way up. And they have a little flirtatious thing at this party. They meet in the hotel, which is what all the marketing is. It's that scene where she says, come on, get up here. And they both get up here and they kiss her and all that. So that leads to other things that are going on. But really the movie is about the love of tennis, the love of competition, their love, it is a 3-way love situation because they're all entangled with each other. That very first scene we see that she in that hotel room, she says, whoever wins the tournament tomorrow, that's the one that's going to get my phone number. So now they have a stake in that first tournament.
Right.
And then it wraps to the end of the movie, which is ending with that same tournament that we've seen at the beginning with sort of the same stakes. We don't realize at the beginning what the stakes are for both those guys. And it's pretty powerful. The tennis, the director is the guy named Luca Guadagnino, who directed the one with Armie Hammer that came out before Armie Hammer got in all that trouble. Yeah, Call Me By Your Name, Suspira. I'm saying that wrong, but the remake of that horror film. So he's a pretty established director. And boy, oh boy, this movie just the soundtrack too. Okay, so I always get off, and since we're in the lounge and we're drinking, I'm allowed to do that, so that's okay. But yeah, it's about their relationship, right? Why don't you delve into that, being the smart person you are, about their relationship and how the politics of that relationship.
Well, it's interesting because the relationship, I wanted to see the movie just because I've never seen Zendaya act. And I've only seen Zendaya on the red carpet. And I think she carries herself beautifully. I've seen some of the things she's written in response to some of her criticism. She's articulate, well-spoken, and young. So I wanted to see that, like how that transferred onto the screen. And their relationship as between the two boys as a doubles team, as well as best friends, was beautiful. And then bringing her into that was, it kind of changed all the dynamics between the two of them.
She called herself a homewrecker.
A homewrecker.
Because their relationship is interesting.
Right.
It's fluid.
Right.
I'll just say it that way. It's fluid. There's some scenes in there where they're not being obvious, but there's a churro scene that they're eating churros together, and it's all symbolism for whatever. But,
right.
Yeah. So yes, she calls herself the homewrecker because these two were tight until they met her.
Right.
And that started the kind of the split that goes on throughout the film, and then ultimately culminates at the end.
Right. And her relationship with each of them and how it's different. How her relationship with the fair-haired boy, who she ultimately marries and has a child with. Ooh, was I supposed to say that?
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's in the trailers.
Is a very different relationship than she has with the dark-haired one.
I'll say.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of, and then, the relationship between the two guys.
Patrick is the dark-haired guy.
Okay.
Now, he's the most, for me, listen, so the Zendaya side of this, it's the weak side for me, the weak part. Her playing a 35-year-old woman just didn't work for me. They gave her the haircut. They dressed her up in all the rich clothes.
I also think that's why they threw the kid in, because the kid doesn't really matter. I think to show aging.
Yeah. But the Patrick character, who we find out through the film is a trust fund baby, but is broke the whole movie. And he just doesn't use his parents' money, I guess. So he's kind of, and he's a racking, what do you call a guy who's just like in Poor Things? What do we call Mark Ruffalo's character? A raconteur, the kind of just a free-for-all. He's just trying to get...
Goes with the minute.
Goes minute by minute. It's all his emotions. It's just what he needs. He's going on Tinder dates just to have a place to stay while he's at these tournaments.
That's good.
And he, to me, was the most interesting. And you see in the trailer, so it's not a giveaway, that she gets hurt when she's very young.
Right.
Which is why she ends up managing her now husband, and runs his whole life, basically.
Right.
So the way the film goes back and forth, it keeps hitting on all these points that happen throughout the years, where Patrick and Zendaya's character are still hooking up. Right. They're hooking up. And we don't know whether the other guy knows it or not. It's implicit that he might, because he saw some stuff. But it's the sexual politics that are going on and the relationship politics that are going on that fuel this whole film throughout the whole film. Yeah. Right up until the end. Well, and the stakes at the end, we're given that little hotel room scene, and now we know the stakes. Right. And why they're battling the way they're battling.
Right. And her, what I liked about her character, though, is that I was worried when she got injured that she was she was not going to be as strong as a character she was when she started. But her strength as his coach and his manager, they assume, and you assume as the watcher, that he would never have gotten to the heights of tennis that he got to had she not been there, pushing him along. So her strength as a character was, I really liked that she wasn't just a foil, or she wasn't just hanging out for the guys.
What's the term? The Debbie Sue, where the perfect woman comes in, and everybody wants to date her. That's not what her character is. She's very strong. I mean, she's a very, very, and actually the strongest out of the three of them. Right. Because she was getting everything she needed all the time. Right.
And the other thing I really liked about the movie is that you were always in the present. Even when it was the flashback, it was what was happening in the flashback. So you don't have any backstory. So I know I complained about it a little, that I want to know why he's living out of his car. He's a rich boy. But the reality is the movie was always where it was. And there was not a lot of backstory that you had to learn. It was always in the moment.
Well, the backstory they gave you was to fuel what you're watching in the present. Yeah. And it gave you insight to why what's happening is happening. Yeah. And I just found that to be just smooth. I mean, let's talk about the music for half a second.
Yeah.
Because the music, the original music, these guys, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Now, Reznor and Ross always, they're doing a lot of David Fincher films.
Yeah.
The soundtrack in this movie was just insane.
Mm-hmm.
The combination of this music against a tennis match, I never would have put two and two together like that. And for some reason, it works.
Yeah.
And this is the only soundtrack I've ever left a movie theater and said, I got to get that on my phone right now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So they had that. The cinematography. There are scenes where you're the ball. You're actually the ball. The ball's bouncing back and forth. The tennis scenes, they're using, obviously, CGI to show you fast tennis balls coming by you. So you're able, the geography of the tennis, you still could follow too. And these guys look like they had trained, and I think they trained for a long time, including her. I think she trained with the Williams sisters.
Well, I know she recreated for the cover of Vogue one of Venus Williams.
She did. They didn't train her or anything.
I'm sure she had. So I know she did.
Because they all looked like they knew how to play tennis.
Yeah.
And they were obviously, they're young and they're just stacked and they're just jacked up, and they have the scene in a sauna. It's just like, oh my god. And it's also it was the guy who wrote it, I guess, also understood tennis, because he some of the tennis scenes, and there's that famous scene in the Cincinnati Applebee's where we were like, oh, Applebee's, we have one around the corner. Turns out that Applebee's is a famous Applebee's that there's a Cincinnati tournament that's actually in the film that everybody goes, all the tennis players who aren't playing go to this Cincinnati Applebee's. So the guy who wrote it really knew the ins and outs of tennis, and it showed, because it was detailed. The locker room talk seemed legit. Her tennis playing, and that's what started the whole film. Is those two guys, tennis in this film was a metaphor for sex. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that scene they have at the very beginning where they're watching her play tennis, and she has that outburst at the end, is them just like, okay, that's her emotional orgasm she had. And it's the way she played tennis and the way she looked at this. She made a line about, there's like 15 seconds of actual real tennis that was going on when she was playing that woman, who ends up, if you know, down the road, ends up winning Wimbledon. Although she was a terrible, compared to her, she was terrible, but she got hurt. This woman go right. All those little touches of people rising up, and the advertisement they did that's on the wall, and there's, that's cropping up while they're having affairs. And there's one scene in particular that where she's talking to Patrick about this is when they decide to make a pact to do something. And something happens, and she slaps a cigarette out of his mouth, right? And the scene goes on for another 2 or 3 minutes, and she walks away, and we see her walk away. And in the background, you see him go and pick up his cigarette and start smoking it again. And it's just like those little touches of that kind of detail just made this film watchable, listenable. That the track is amazing. The tennis, and I like playing tennis, so I could follow the tennis. It was just amazing. And I'm glad we went, because I never in a million years would have gone and seen this based on the advertising, what I saw. Because I'm not a Zendaya fan. I don't see Dune. I know she's in Dune. I think she's maybe in some Marvel movies. Yeah,
she's been in like the Spider-Man. I don't know who does
Spider-Man.
Oh, right.
She's in those
been in some of those.
I think she's dating Tom. She was at
but she was
Tom
so Holland. Like she's in that show Euphoria,
okay.
And that's where she's won like an Emmy, and that's where like Kaylee, my daughter, was saying, you got to see this woman act. She's amazing. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not even a huge tennis fan, and I found myself like really caught up in the match. Like all of a sudden, the way they shot it, the way I was like in the match.
Well, we also knew the stakes.
And we knew the stakes.
Now, we didn't know that when we walked in the movie.
Right.
But through the flashbacks, we knew there were stakes at every one of those tennis tournaments.
Right.
Which now makes us participants in what's going on. And who's the good guy? Who did you root for? Who did you want to see? I'm not going to give away the end, but who did you want to see?
I wanted the dark-haired guy.
Me too. I love that.
He was a dick. But there was something about him.
He stole the I think he stole. I mean, she obviously it's her film.
Right.
She's out promoting it. They're all promoting, but and she produced it. So she's
The three of them together, though, it is. Oh yeah. They do great together. Yeah. Like, of course, we don't know who else could have done it, but the three of them together are really, really great. And for some reason, though, the dark-haired guy, he was swarmy, he was icky, he was on those Tinder dates just to stay in a hotel, and I was like, come on, I want you to win. I want you to win some money. Because somehow, to me,
It was
there
weird,
was some sort of hard luck story associated
It was,
with him
but
that I
he
didn't
was.
know.
That's the whole beauty
Like, they
of that.
didn't tell
He
you
wasn't.
that. Yeah. No, and he was rich. I mean, they were all three rich.
Yes.
'Cause her
but he
house-
wasn't. I mean, but what was he driving? What was the car they ended up? It was like a Toyota.
I keep referring to it as a gremlin,
Yeah,
but
no, it wasn't a gremlin, but it was something like that. It was some skanky car
Yeah.
that he's driving around with hardly any gas, and he took a Dunkin' Donuts sandwich from a woman who was running the tournament we walked into, but she had seen him at the juniors tournament that he won with the doubles with him.
Right.
I mean, so all these things kept coming back up.
Right.
And there were button points in the film that kept you completely aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
And we were totally involved in all the stakes that were going on in their relationship
Right.
and in the tennis match. And I never expected that. I mean, there's a Wimbledon tennis movie. I think Kirsten Dunst may have done one.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, and again, the camera stuff, it's some of the things that they did. They shot underneath the thing when they're bouncing the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's this great thing they do with the tell. And this isn't a giveaway.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so he has his first date with Zendaya's character.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick does.
Right.
The other two guys are still friends.
Right.
So he asked Patrick, "Did you sleep with her last night?" And he says, I can't tell you that. I'm a gentleman. I don't talk about it." He goes, "Well, give me some signal so I know whether you did or didn't." He goes, "Okay, I'll give you a signal. You have this tick that when you serve the ball in a tennis racket, there's that Y that's right before the head and then the thing. When he served, he would put that tennis ball in that thing, and then he would serve. Well, Patrick is bouncing the ball a couple times, and then he puts it in the thing, and that's when the other guy. I'm sorry, I keep saying the other guy. I got to get his name right because Art.
Mm-hmm.
Art then realized that Patrick had slept with her. That tick thing comes up later in the film. And I don't want to give it away, but it's just like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing where this is a movie where you're like literally cheering.
Yeah,
I mean, we had the same emotional thing that they were having.
Yeah.
I just have never felt like that in a film in a long time.
Right. Like I cared who won, but I didn't really care who won. But
It didn't matter.
It didn't really matter, but I still wanted to kind of know. I'm like, which one? Because
well, I don't want to give it away.
it was going to change. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it would change the outcome
Yeah.
either way. And
Yeah.
I just So I was really, and I'm not a sports person, so I knew it was a tennis movie. I was like, I don't know, why would I want to go see it? Oh, let's just go see Zendaya. Let's see this.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we did and I really would like to see more from all three of those actors. They are all good in their own rights.
Well, specifically Josh O'Connor. Okay?
Yeah.
Now I saw the other guy in West Side Story, and everybody raved about his thing. I liked West Side Story.
Yeah.
He played Riff. He was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I have the old one in my head. So I had never seen him before West Side Story. I forgot about him because he hasn't done anything since West Side Story. I don't know of. He may have. Maybe
He may have. I don't know.
But and the other guy just walks in. I had never seen the other
Right.
guy ever. But he's the guy that we all focused on. And I think that's what's fascinating about it because Zendaya's character is supposed to be she's it. She's the focal point of all this.
Right.
And he is kind of the standout of the film.
Right.
Which shows, I guess, his strength as an actor. I don't know.
Yeah, but I
What is
also
it?
think
what do
it
you think?
shows like.
As a woman, did you feel? You said he was creepy, scary, but you still were like, there's something about him.
Well, I still
right?
wanted him to.
I think dudes felt the same. Well, he was
sti-
also.
Well, I think
He was
that
he
he
was
was,
flip-flopping.
he was fluid. I think there.
Yeah, because when he's looking in the online dating,
Yeah.
he's flipping through dudes too.
Yeah.
So he had.
I think he's fluid, and that's fine. I really thought that there was something that kept drawing Zendaya back to him too.
Oh,
and
yeah. Well,
I
'cause
think
he's.
and it's kind of like good versus evil. You got the dark-haired guy versus the blonde-haired guy. The blonde-haired guy's the safe choice. The dark-haired guy's the living in the back of his gremlin guy.
Well, that's what's exciting about him.
Yeah.
The other guy was stable, had the child with the other person. She's
Right.
managing his thing. His success is important to their family.
Right.
They only live in hotels.
Right.
They didn't even have a house
No.
because they said her daughter likes living in hotels. But
Yeah.
it looked like Zendaya's character loved hotels.
Yeah.
But yes, this guy came out as like the star of the film
Right.
in a weird way. And I actually thought the film, there was a shot that happens that I said, okay, that's how they're going to end it, which would have been fine. I would have been fine with that. And they went a little further, which made it, I have to admit, even better.
Yeah.
I love the ending. I just love the whole film. Musically, I just couldn't get over. I couldn't get over the music track and how exciting.
The music was really good.
Yeah.
And it did really enhance. And sometimes, the music can overpower. Sometimes it can be distracting. It wasn't. It enhanced.
A lot of it felt like
really
club
well.
music.
Yeah.
But then
Well,
they
it's
had
like
this
techno.
one song that they kept threading throughout. I don't know if that's a Spanish love song. I don't even know what that was. I don't know if that's original track that they did. But that one kept cropping up back and forth. Now I heard something interesting about Zendaya on the publicity trail of this movie, where she is not apologizing, she is letting her younger audience know, because these characters are there's not a good one in the bunch. They're all manipulating each other. They're all political. They're all, trying to get what they need based on their relationships. Right. Even
There's a sense of being used. There's a sense of each of them using each other in different ways to get what they want.
right. And
I don't know that that's
and
necessarily
Art
bad.
is telling Patrick when they're Art and Zendaya end up in college together, right? And Patrick is dating Zendaya at the time, but Patrick is out on he's playing tennis professionally.
He's gone pro.
Semi-professionally. He's right. He kept telling her to go pro, but she decided not to. Then she gets hurt in college. So
Right.
anyway, so Art is there with her as friends.
Right.
Patrick comes to visit, and Art is telling Patrick, she doesn't love you. Why are you dating her? I don't understand. And then Patrick, the way he responded was, you know what? I kind of like this. I like this manipulation you're doing to me. Gives you some, because he was, this guy Art was kind of always like steady Eddie, right?
Yeah.
And Patrick was like, this is good, but then it causes a whole thing. She gets hurt. Now Art and Zendaya, I'm sorry, Tashi, end up together because of what happened at that time when they met. There's a T-shirt too, I Told You.
Yeah.
That starts with Zendaya, that ends up on Patrick, and it's like there's some signal there going on. I don't, again, I'm very literal. I don't catch the subtext. But anyway, she's out publicizing the film and apologizing to her younger audiences about, hey, look, these characters are kind of mean to each other. Just they're good people. Don't judge them, because she knows that the younger generation doesn't put up with any shit at all. They don't want to, right? We're like, okay, they're manipulating each other. This is what people do. That's what, But the younger generation doesn't like that, and she's like actually out there saying, hey, just give these guys a break. It's gonna be okay. I just find that fascinating. For a producer of a film who, now I don't think it's done like gangbusters money wise. I really don't. I don't think it's broken the bank. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that stuff.
I don't know what it was up against either. Like when it came out, who it was up against, or if there was any.
Well, when
movies really haven't even come back anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Planet of the Apes. I don't know what was out when we saw it. I don't even remember what.
Because it was either that or we were going to go see Fall Guy.
Right.
So.
Which I can't wait to see, but I really enjoyed.
But I'm glad we went. I'm really glad this is the one.
I mean, that's the bottom line. The bottom line is I didn't expect to like this film at all. And I loved it, and I appreciated it, and I want to see this guy's other stuff now. And I just thought they were great. I think the relationship between the three of them, and the way the director told the story, to give us nuggets of information in the past to inform us what's going on in the present, was brilliant.
It really was,
and it kept me engaged the whole time.
It really was.
So.
And that's one of the things I really liked about it.
All right, good. How would you rate it? What's our rating? We don't even know. We're in the lounge. How do you rate something? We'll do for now. We'll just do 5.
5.
Best of 5. So what was your rating on this one?
I would give it a 4 out of 5. I mean, it was enjoyable. It was fun.
Why not a 5?
Why not a 5? Yeah. It was like the characters were a tad stereotypical.
Okay.
Like the cad who lives in his car.
Yeah.
The rich guy. No, I liked him, and I love a bad boy.
Right.
So the cad who lives in the car, the fair-haired good boy who does everything, the woman who shakes everything up. Right. So that was it. But I loved the way they did it. So it gave it a new meaning to it.
Well, I'm going to also go 4 out of 5, but I'm gonna take a star away because of the marketing campaign.
Okay.
The marketing campaign, and I know why they did it, because who doesn't want to see those people getting a thing like that? But that's not what the movie was about. I mean, the movie was about sex as tennis.
Yeah.
I mean, the metaphor was. I mean, again, I'm not the smartest guy in the
Well,
world.
Zendaya says that. She's at the beginning where she talks about tennis as a relationship.
Right. And well, it's obvious in this one. And if you go see it, the very, very, very last shot, I've never walked out, other than The Warriors, whenever that came out in 1980, 1979, I've never walked out of a film more pumped based on the last scene that I saw. And it just carried me through the rest of the day and the rest of the night. And we talked about it when we got home. And we're doing it now, but I couldn't get over.
And I looked up different interpretations, like
I went down that rabbit hole as well. I just found it interesting the way she's coming at it based on her age. That these guys are okay. Don't worry. I know they're manipulative, but they're good people.
I didn't see any of that, and I guess it's because all I look at is the red carpet, and she had some amazing looks.
I don't care about that. I know, but yeah. So all right. Well, 4 out of 5, both of us. So that's an average of 4. So
here we go.
All right. Well, all right. This is great. Let's do this again. Welcome everybody to the Cinematic Lounge. I hope you enjoyed our little chat about this film. I forgot. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna ask 10 questions at the end of our show.
Okay.
Let me.
You got the wheel?
I got the wheel. I just got to do a little something here, something. Stand by, and okay. So, where'd it go? All right, it went away. I hate when that happens. We can edit around this. Here we go. All right, so we're calling it the Cinematic Lounge 10 questions. And basically, well, you'll see. They're going to be the same 10 every time, okay? So let's see. You got 2 minutes.
2.
Okay, first movie you remember watching as a child.
First movie.
I'll just say, it can be at home or in a movie theater.
The Phantom Toll Booth.
The Phantom Toll Booth.
In the movie theater.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of that movie.
Yes. It's an amazing movie. It also scared the bejesus out of me. Yes. My brother Scott took me.
Wow. Amazing.
It was the Raw Theater.
In Wheaton?
No, this was in Randolph Hills, but, Raw Theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raw. Mine was Oliver.
Oh.
With my mother. Stoughton movie theater. And what was amazing about that film is it has an intermission. It was it must have been a 3.5
It must have been really long.
Yeah. There was definitely an intermission in that one, but that's the first movie I can remember going to a movie theater. And interestingly enough, my mother's also the one that taught me tennis.
Ooh,
so it fits with this connection. Yes, this is a connection that we have.
Nice.
So so that was my first film. I'll probably answer that every time we do this, every single time, but because when we have guests, we're going to ask them the same. Well, we're going to spin it and see what question comes up. So, welcome to the lounge.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks.
You're going to be hosting, so you'll be here all the time. Thank you guys for watching, and check us out. See how this goes. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.